Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm your host, Sir Stephen Topham at the third at your service. Now we're going to talk about trust, honesty, and respect. Now, a lot of you know where we're going to come up. We're going to talk about a lot of variety of topics today, not just about one thing. Yes, it's going to be variety of topics today because we're going to acknowledge more than what you can handle. Understand what the community needs throughout the grid. You know, the whole thing, right? A lot of you know that trust, honesty, and respect has to be earned, right? Trust has to be earned. Honesty, right, comes from within the person. Respect is another thing you got to earn, but it's not as easy as that, right? When people make slip ups or mistakes, they tend to think they can clear it up by saying sorry, right? Sorry, it's not going to cut it. It's not a cutting edge word no more. It's not a regular word. It's a regular word for you know, people that want an instant sorry and it's all forgotten. It's not always the bottom line of it all. And when we were discussing in my last few podcasts, going back a bit, obviously, I gave you a majority of understanding what's happening behind closed doors, what is happening in every sector, right? I don't lie to you. I'm more honest with you. I'm more respected to try to help you out as much as I can. Trust is the hardest thing to earn. But respect is even twice as hard. Why? But the honesty comes from you as a person, as a community, as the person that you are and what you're standing for. Now, when it comes to companies and limited companies, etc., or preservation groups, etc., they have to earn the trust and the respect of the community. So when we acknowledge what is in front of us, rather not just with with our own eyes and ears, it's everything, right? A friend of mine, a private connection, told me today, right? She acknowledged that the North Norfolk Wherry has lost a great asset, right? That's what she acknowledged, and I knew what she was talking about was myself, right? Because that was the North Norfolk Wherry's biggest slip up in history, right? When they booted me out, they lost the biggest, great, big asset that can help them and support them. Now they've got nothing but to earn everything back, right? That's the North Norfolk Wherry, right? But she was referring to it because she's acknowledging it. She's acknowledging the trust has to be earned, the respect has to be re-earned, the honesty. It's the hardest thing that comes out of their mouths because they're not always honest with the public. They're not honest with the community as a whole, and you're ending up with the biggest thing: trust, honesty, and respect. It's a big thing to earn, right? I've been checking the global state of this because I have to be realistic with you guys. It's not a game. This is real life. And this is a thing we have to take with us as we go forward. If I can't move forward, nor can you. It's like a journey, right? A lot of you might think we, the community, has got something that you need. You know, I am what you would call I'm everybody's best friend, but I'm also their eyes and ears. And when I acknowledge what people want is trust, biggest thing of all, trust and respect. But honesty can also get you into trouble. But if you use the honesty correctly, it will help them and it will help you. That applies to everybody. You know what I mean? So trust, honesty, and respect comes from everything. It's not just about the railways or the roads or the people that you associate with. Trust. What do you want out of trust? Do you feel like you've been let down, or do you feel like you want to move forward but you can't because you've got to have trust, honesty, and respect? There's a lot of people that will look into this deeper and deeper now because it's not a common thing we come out with our mouths saying it. Trust is the biggest thing of the hardest thing to earn is trust. But respect is equal to trust. So respecting people, trusting people, then honesty has to come out to make people go forward in their lives, their jobs, their responsibilities, everything. But when people are not trusting or not being honest with you, then the trust is gone. Without the honesty, there's no trust. There's no respect. So it's like a triangle, right? What I'm gonna ask to acknowledge the community out there and the rest of the world and the people I associate with. Trust, honesty, and respect is like lighting the fire and extinguishing it, right? Right? When you burn, right, or when you light up a fire and you burn it up, you need fuel, you need ignition, and then you have air. Air produces heat, right? Because air has to, when you light up a fire, it burns, right? To extinguish the flame, you have to use water. So when you use water, it extinguishes a flame, right? Now, imagine this. You've got the same principles with trust, honesty, and respect, right? And it's the biggest thing in life where people have to acknowledge that trust may be the big key around this. Honesty is the first, should be the first one on the list. It's honesty before you can get trust and then respect. But when you look around and where you stand and what you represent and what you do and what you get tell people online, right? Enough of the bullshit, right? Because the bullshit will not get you anywhere, right? So you have to build honesty, then build people's trust, then earn their respect because there's something more than what you give them, right? They don't, well, they see you as an individual. It doesn't matter if you're Mr. X or Mrs. X, right? You still have the same principles for it, right? So when you have three of these, like trust, honesty, and respect, it builds up, right? So, like I said, let me take this in the way that make you understand and get the variety of topics in play, right? When I was in Orsted and then Norwich, I have I was a I was actually acknowledging what happened before, right? So there's a lot of respect. So I had to do it in reverse, just slightly. Respect has to be earned, right? Before you can get the understanding of where I'm coming from, right? my family has done a lot more for you than what you're earning in your pocket today, right? We take that money for granted, right? So what do? We earn our respect and then earn the trust and then be honest with people. Honesty is the first thing on the list as well as respect. But you have to gain your self respect first. Then the honesty, then the people's trust. The trust is the last one in the line. There is something what I'm trying to establish with you is acknowledging the world, even the world, the community and all, right? It's the biggest picture of all, right? Trust, honesty and respect. It's not just listening and understanding. Why do we have those three words? Right? A lot of people say we gain people's trust, but you're also gaining their respect. But what does men want out of women? Right? I'm on about this to make this clearer. Right? It doesn't matter if it's a business or a colleague or a partner or somebody you look up to or anything. They want all the men and the women, myself, right, let's just say myself, or the man that I am, and the community that I'm going to deal with, and then the whole world to financially build the boats, basically, and acknowledge that there are a lot of people involved, right, that have to do the same procedure with different languages around the globe, right? They are also being taught how to speak English as their primary language, to acknowledge trust, honesty, and respect. And when you look into it, the, the companies you work for, or the railway companies you work for, or the road companies you work for, or the jobs that you have, trust, honesty, and respect are the three vital keys. Why? Trust. You have to gain people's trust to get the respect. Then the honesty will come along with it. So there's three in play. It's like lighting a fuel fire. But without the fire, you can't. You need fuel or gas. You need gas, light, then air to produce the flame. So the flame is what you got, right? To extinguish the flame, you need to block the air out because you're burning flame. So now I'm trying to establish it with you with trust, honesty, and respect, right? Some people find it hard to gain people's trust, right? So the trust part is more of a challenge for some people out there. Honesty comes within the person's personality as it is the person's, as like myself or my friends or my connections or colleagues, we have to have the trust, the honesty and respect for each other. But the respect is respecting people's like privacy, acknowledging that is how and it's examples gain people's trust. And then the honesty comes in the middle, right? Because the honesty is the last part, right? When you speak to, let's say, a man to a woman, or a man speaks to a woman, they have to be honest first. Then the trust, then the respect, right? When you're doing this with colleagues or for people you work with, right? They get to know you through time. So that trust and honesty and respect comes naturally. So when you think of the Norfolk Railway wants trust, honesty and respect very quickly, uh-uh, no, it's not going to happen on them straight away. Why? Because The management that abused the system lost the trust and the respect. The honesty part, they lied. So they lost the honesty. So when you realise they haven't got nothing right now, there's no trust, there's no honesty, and there's no respect. Right? I was looking on the web and I had to take it from a different angle as well as people, don't get me wrong. So I have to acknowledge what people needs are and want, right? I can understand there is a lot of frustration in a lot of people, right? And acknowledge what is a need, what is a want. It's the same thing, but with trust, honesty, and respect. It's the highest key elements in the whole universe, right? What people don't even realize, right? There are a lot of people that abuse the trust of people or respect of people or the honesty of people because they just want information, right? But the thing is, when you look down the line of it, right? Let me take you another example of where I know these things so quickly, right? Let's take discrimination, right? There's a vital problem in discrimination, right? When people get discriminated in any shape or form, or language, or bad tempered, or easily that, then the trust and honesty and respect goes. Slowly, and wipe out. Right? So then you have to prioritize to realize trust, honesty, and respect is the vital key in all of this, as it is the job you do, the colleagues you work with, and the employer that you work for, and acknowledge that there is trust, honesty, and respect on every part of all of this. So when you look down and realize, okay, my family has a good reputation, but it's lost respect and trust because we lost the trust of the people and the respect, the honesty we are coming out with. So we got the honesty part, so where's the trust and the respect, right? My connections, my private connections, and so forth, always said you have done nothing wrong, right? So I still got my trust and honesty and respect. Why? Because people know things you don't. And when you acknowledge when my family had worked for you for generations, we have tried to establish a like a communication that helps the world and the community help each other, right? It's not always about the money factor. This is where the trust and honesty and respect can be very deceiving. So when you feel like, where's my trust? Or where's my respect, right? Let me tell you a little story. This will be brighten up in your eyeballs and all lighting up, right? Before you see the man you in front of you, as me as the fat controller, third gen, right? You, right? When I was dealing with my stepfather, Duck, right? All he moaned about was respect, right? He wanted that respect so bloody badly, excuse my language, but this is the truth, what's unfolded already. So this is respect, right? He asked for respect. He said, if you don't respect me, you don't get nothing, right? And he acknowledged that on me, right? And then once he realised what I was, then it all clicked into place. Slowly catch a monkey, right? So then everybody realizes trust, honesty, and respect are the three vital keys but they work differently depending on what department you're working in, right? So when you split the departments up, you got your colleagues, you got your friends and connections, right? Bang, right? They're telling you something, right? Your colleagues cannot always give you the trust straight away. They can respect you for what you're trying to do or accomplish, but the honesty part, you have to be dead honest, right? Let me take you through another scenario so you can get a bigger downfall on this. Trust, honesty, and respect comes in a lot of different ways. It can really break it all down, and it's not always about railways. It's all to do with the road system as well, and it's all to do with people, right? Different people have different attitudes, right? Some can be very nice, some can be very nasty, and they can be very versatile or backstabbing, routine type job and say, we will do rumours, we will lie, we will be deceitful. But there are people out there that are kind hearted, like me, in every angle, and then you realise there's a lot of trust in me and there's a lot of respect in me. Right? The honesty, you're getting it out of my mouth. Right now, here and now. This is not a game. This is acknowledging that what a lot of people needed, right? They're getting. Right? They don't see it straight away. It doesn't come straight towards them, or front of them. So they don't acknowledge what is unfolding or what's doing or the person that I am and what I am. Right? The trust has been earned over the years. Right? The respect has been over through the years. Right? The honesty comes from me for over the years. But there's boundaries of a lot of people today haven't got a lot of trust or respect or honesty because they don't know the value of the three categories. So you've got three categories and then you're nailing it down and you're saying what's this guy got? Now I can really tell you straight off, trust, honesty and respect. Right? They will look up to me and they say, you're too honest, you're trustworthy, and you've got some respect. Bang! What do they end up with? Right? Now, now let's take it from another angle where you can understand. Right? A lot of people out there may not understand what respect is or trust is, but honesty. People like honesty, but there's a barrier for it. So when you got the trust and respect, the honesty comes last. But in every case, in every angle, when it all comes out click, 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 it makes sense why trust and honesty and respect is so important than everything else around you. Then you have to put it all together and realize why this person is getting well respected and trusted. Because my family has gone through generations. So when people think that how did he gain that trust and respect all at once? The honesty part comes out. That came first for me. But the trust had to be earned. The respect had to be earned. It works different for different people, right? Depending on where their personalities or what type of background they have or whatever, right? The line down of it all is showing you the value of trust and honesty and respect, right? Trust, right, can be done by different jobs you do, or what you do for a living, or what you do with your friends, or your connections, or colleagues, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, right? Now, take that as one big company or organization or anything like that, right? The trust still has to be earned. The respect still has to be earned. But you have to be honest first. So you gotta be honest, not dishonest. This is why the lot of problems we have today is because of one little mistake became bigger than what its money's worth. So when you look it up and realise, oh sugar, what do? We got colleagues that booted out, you got friends that you cared about, then you have yourself on top of that, or myself, vice versa, and then it all adds up, right? When you equalise it all, then you find out there's a problem. It's not always about honesty. It's about trust and respect. If you don't get the trust, then you don't get the respect. If you get the respect first, you will gain people's trust. The honesty has to come from within you. Acknowledging that in every angle, when you look at yourself, do you feel that you really help the community in any way? Have you achieved what you need to do, or you need to continue it on a little bit further than what you should? But people have asked and asked this biggest little question and acknowledge, right? Trust can go in many ways. Honesty comes from within you. The respect, right, is to do with privacy and understanding, right? I want you to look at this from another angle and say, have you heard of a song called Share, Love and Understanding? Understanding is another one on the list. Why? Understanding people, respecting their boundaries still, and having their trust and gaining their honesty at the same time. A lot of the time people think, why do we talk about this now, not before? If we did it before, well then it will compromise everything that was set out in stone. So when you think of people's trust, honesty and respect, right? When you really look down on it, the trust and the honesty and respect from people are very, very low because they don't know. Right, let's say you had a lot of people in the management that were dishonest with you, right? The honesty is gone, but also is the trust, so is the respect, so you lose it all. So when the bad management is in control of the railway, as example, what do you do with that bad management? Well, you can't gain their trust, you can't gain their honesty, and you can nor either can't gain their respect. So when you look at your friends and look at your connections when you go out at night and enjoying yourself, let it off. Don't bottle it up. Talk to friends, people who you trust and respect, right? They will know you'll be honest with them, but the trust is there, the respect is there, but then the honesty comes from you directly, and it makes it a lot more comfortable on you. Now, for me, I was what you'll call in a predicament like this. I would say, in a layman terms, right? It wasn't easy to try and hide, but I hid for a reason. That's been honest, right? I gain people's trust, then their respect. So when you look at it and realise trust, honesty, and respect goes different in different ways, right? And it's not easy for a railway company or a road company or a colleague or a friend or a connection or somebody that you fell in love with or a connection that you know really well and a friend that you know really well of or a colleague that you work with. It's not each of those have a set of boundaries, right? Let's put the let's put the boundaries to one side and focus on trust, honesty, and respect, right? We all knew by acknowledging what we have done over the years. If you were in a position where you really want to be honest with people, honesty is the best policy, yes, but it can also get you into a lot of trouble at times. But it's not your fault, it's nobody's fault, it's that. That honesty has to come out to gain people's trust. Then it be respect. But because my family's been working under the radar for so damn long, the honesty, the trust, and respect is already there on my foundation. As example, for the railway companies, they have to do it the hard way round. They have to gain people's honest trust. They have to gain people's respect. And then they have to gain people's honesty on top. They don't want people that go in there that was dishonest, right? Because that, right, you're taking one thing out, but then you've got trust and respect, obviously, through your colleagues, your friends, or your family, vice versa, right? But honesty normally is your foundation, right? The trust is the next one up the ladder, and then respect comes last. Sometimes people want respect so quickly, right? Trust is the ultimate foundation with the honesty, but that's a second layer. The respect is the final one on the top, the cherry on the cake, right? But if you're working with a woman or understanding, as they call it, that's another one on the top. There's four, right? So learning the value of trust, honesty, respect, and understanding, then you will have a better. It's like when you talk to people about certain topics or certain subjects, you got to have a good value of understanding, not just the honesty part. Then the trust comes along with it. Then the respect, right? Sometimes it really it muddles up sometimes because you got to work out what comes first. It's like a chicken and the egg, right? The chicken comes first before the egg, but then you got to work out what came first: is the egg or the chicken? It's always been the chicken first because the egg will be laid out, right? Now, in a position where the Norfolk Railway is, or whatever railway company you work for, or road company, you've got to realise that trust has to be earned. The respect has to be earned. But the honesty will always be there in my family. But for everyone else, honesty has to come out. Right? The trust has to be earned. The respect has to be earned. Right? But I really try to do. I've done it the hardest way possible. Right? To help people to understanding. So understanding and a lot of love and respect. Don't get me wrong. But let me get to the point. Right? We have made try to make an effort on this to gain people's respect. But to gain that respect, you have to do it from the outside in, not inside out. Sometimes a lot of people will say, let me tell you a story, and this is a true story, and it will open your eyes a lot more realistically, not a children's story. This is definitely on the adult side, right? Before I came into the picture, my grandfather told the steam team at that time, not my steam team, my ad. I know who my friends and connections are, but I'll give you a little picture to give you a rough idea exactly how it unfolds, right? Sir Topham Hatt the first, my grandfather, left a package, right? And he acknowledged to the engines that mm, he will say grandson Stephen Topham Hatt the third will take over, right? Because that was that little package saying, well, this is where the honesty comes in, and I say to you, on that occasional note, he's saying it's smaller on the inside, but bigger on the outside. We always use that quote from Doctor Who, and I'm telling you now, it is realistic as it can get. So it's smaller on the inside, bigger on the outside. So when you think about it, trust, honesty, and respect. Put a lot of effort into that little box, right? And within this little box is actually the ultimate person is myself, right? And acknowledging what is there, you can't defeat what is unfolding from you, right? You gotta have to stop refusing what you don't see or haven't heard or believe, acknowledge or whatever, right? You have to acknowledge, right? So, with trust and honesty, respect, that's very similar. So, when you're dealing with people's respect and honesty and trust, what do you get at the end of the tunnel? A quote was actually stated from one of Celine Dion's songs, which I always admire. Darkness, and you showed me the light. Basically, name in terms of logic. Anyway, the problem is it's all to do with a new day has come. That's the song that came from, and acknowledging that, and it's saying a new day has come, a new day will start. Every day we got a new day, and trust, honesty, and respect. Right? People want to enjoy the day out, enjoy the moment, enjoy our lives to the full, right? But they have to be acknowledged with the trust, honesty, and respect with their friend, the connection, or family, or colleague, or partner, right? What you have to do is you have to be honest with them first before you can gain their trust or their respect, right? There are boundaries in every corner of that, which I totally agree. But if you were doing this in the business terms, right, I understand you had all of these podcasts done and dusted, shown off to you and acknowledged to you that this is no hoax, this is no joke, this is reality, right? So the trust and honesty and respect goes a long way. Understanding is another one on the list, so it makes four. So when you think about it, it gives you better understanding. It helps you gain people's trust, but you're also gaining their respect. But they also being honest with you. If they're not honest with you, they're not. They're not anybody to be associated with, right? So you have to acknowledge the honesty part. Normally has to be honest with a person that you see or be with. You have to acknowledge. You have to have honest to be. You have to be honest first to get everything in place. Then the trust and respect comes last with the understanding. So when you realise there are a lot of boundaries, there's a lot of pressure under the belt, and you want to acknowledge that. Let's take it from a customer's point of view, going on the railway as example. The first thing they want is honesty, right? Because they don't want to pay too much money for their tickets, as example. Then the trust. It's the hardest thing to earn, or the respect to gain. It's the hardest thing to earn. But the honesty has to come first before you move forward. It applies to everybody. It's not just about one individual here. So when you acknowledge that what goes in front of you is acknowledging that what I'm saying is true, right? Right? A lot of people will say, right, if I was the customer or I was the actual person that's going back on any platform for that matter, right? People always respected me. Why? Because they trusted me. Right? But because I'm too honest. Right? It works a little bit different with me, but then the understanding comes last. Because it works way, that's how my family operates. So honesty, trust and respect then understanding is our pattern because it's trying to help you understand everything that we say because we are being honest with you. And that's gaining people's trust and then respect. And then the understanding follows suit, right? So when you do this in every corner and every direction, you're seeing the bigger picture than what it is. So when my grandfather told his colleagues and connections and family and so forth, he put me in the box with everything else. So acknowledge that you got what you needed. Now you lost something bigger, right? Because I'm a bigger asset, right? So then, as a North Norfolk Railway, as example, which it is, they lost their biggest, greatest asset out. So when you got a great big asset out there in the community, in the world, around the globe, watching eyes and ears everywhere, and acknowledging that trust, honesty, and respect, right? People did not get that in 2019. I get that. But we can't look back on that now. We have to move forward. So we have to acknowledge the railways are very expensive on the North Norfolk Railway intentionally. And then you've got to realise, okay, why my family is so well known and so well respected, right, for generations now. It's become a natural pattern, if you will. And then all of this is all going to blow over and then it's going to be acknowledged in the end and understand the whole book, the whole TV show, the music, the full act is all realistic. But you're not acknowledging it because you just you want to gain people's trust and honesty and respect. You have to be honest with the people around the globe as well as the people that I'm associating with. So when I've been honest, right, it doesn't matter if it's in the relationship or working alongside them or being their employer, as another example, right? A lot of rules that were set out for all of you, right? It's a load of BS because I'm cutting out what is not needed anymore, right? If I said to Right, let's take it for another example so you get a better idea, right? I know a lot of people would love to marry their employer, right? Let me take you another example, right? Celine Dion did just that. Why? Right? Celine Dion is the best artist around here, right? She's trustworthy, she's honest and respectful, right? And understanding, right? Because I've seen her at her worst and I've seen her at her best, right? When it comes down to her, she was only a small young girl when she started building her own records, first set of records, right? And with her husband Renee, right? And then you got in in that perspective, she's done her songs, etc., etc. But there were a lot of complications, right? Which by the time that Celine Dion became a woman, if you want to call it correctly, a trust and honesty and respect took a very long time to build up, right? And then Celine Dion married Renee, right? Had their kids, and then this is where she is now, is what she does best. It's her best singing career in history, right? Like My Heart Will Go On, It's All Coming Back to Me, All by Myself, and then acknowledging that taking chances and everything else. All her songs have meanings all the time. And Drove All Night is another one. It's another hit that I'm more familiarized with. And the other song that I really liked was Think Twice. Now, she acknowledged that within all her syllables had all meanings. Even because you love me. And then acknowledges all her songs are all acknowledging because they all have meanings. And they do not like a, you might think a lot of people will say it's a load of hoax. I said, no, it isn't. When somebody really sings the way she does on an everyday basis, right? She acknowledged that everything has a purpose, right? Acknowledging she's gained people's trust, honesty, and respect for all her hard work and achievement, right? Right? And acknowledge that her songs have meanings and they will never fade out. Whatever, Where Does My Heart Beat Now is another one, another classic, right? But they all had a meaning. And because it all understands correctly, it's still trust, it's still honesty, and it's still respect. Because regardless that she's done it by her songs, the way she sings on an everyday basis, this is why I always put my foot down to help people out every damn day. And, and regardless on our circumstances, right, I knew a lot of people in my life. Right? I know somebody from college, right at Vickerstown College, which is Kingsland College in College of West Anglia. And I acknowledge that Vickerstown College gave me a course of a lifetime. 3 years worth of care. Right? I achieved it. Right? Bumps your uncle. But that's been honest with you. And then everybody asked, why trust, honesty, and respect? It's all there in black and white for you to hear, but then you have to work out, why do I return to the North Norfolk Railway before 2019? Because I was their greatest asset, and they didn't even know it. And that's being honest with you lot. Why? End of the day, the people that got booted out didn't deserve that disrespect. Right? So from what they are doing up there now at the North Norfolk Railway, they've been from honesty to dishonest. They've been disrespectful and then untrustworthy. Now, I know it's reversed, but you know exactly where I'm coming from. So once you got a lot of bunch of people up there that were they were dishonest, disrespectful, and untrustworthy. What do you get? An opposite, don't you? So when you have people that are trustworthy, honest, and very respectful, then they work better with me because they could coordinate with the understanding. So when you really look at it, everything I sing goes forward. And regardless that I have my favourite songs as well, and acknowledge my feelings through the songs. The songs I sing on an everyday basis, you have to acknowledge the railway system have that same principles to a certain level. And when the railway system starts to realise, you have to realise as a customer, a lot of people on that platform are getting really rattled, right? Because they know they were in the wrong. So the honesty is there, but the trust is there, but the respect isn't. So when you haven't got the respect anymore, people come to me because I'm more honest, trustworthy, and respectful person on the planet. Right? We acknowledge that we have there's a lot more people around that have the same principles as me. So we can work alongside each other. It's not just there are connections or our friends or our family or our colleagues. It's everything. So when you foundation it from the bottom up, it all adds up nicely. But you have to realize, where does trust and honesty and respect come from the North Norfolk Railway? It doesn't, because they've been dishonest with you, they've been untrustworthy, and the respect is gone. So work it out, it's there in trust, but realistically, when I see things that I really don't, let's just say people give out hints and clues. I said there will always be answers for me because I'll be helping you guys out at the same time. But overall, breaking it down, what do you expect from the individual? Just to break it all down: trust, honesty, and respect and understanding. Right? 4 words instead of 3. Right? Not everyone is going to give you it. That's what I'm saying. So when you're gonna go on a platform or you paid that ticket because, and then you start to realize, click, 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 and you're now working around the clock. Right? I saw the North Norfolk Railway running today as example. Right? The words to express that, it won't suit its grace. Why? Because the railway lost respect. Right? They're trying to gain people's respect back or trust, but their honesty is more dishonest. So when you haven't worked it out yet, right, what I stated in the last two podcasts is starting to ask you the big question. When you got a 5 mile route, right, and you only got 3 active stations and 1 halt, right, look at the timetable. Look at the status of it, right? The first things that you have to look into that people work in pairs or singles or a management team, right? The management team will be dishonest to you to a certain level degree. This is why I know papers lies. Papers lies to the truth. So when they lie, when they put the article in, for example, as a newspaper, as example, they say, "Oh, this guy did this," or "This is what's happening on the railway today," or whatever. That's not always the case. The problem is people need to earn people's trust and honesty and respect. That's the bottom line of it, right? And I'm going to conclude this today, for today anyway, is people to realize honesty, trust, and respect. It doesn't fit the bill for everything, right? I know that. So you're going to have a lot of dishonesty, a lot of untrusted issues, and disrespect, right? And a lot of people don't realize Rhymes always been in the vicinity of watching, right? I understand the Norfolk Railway's not going to go nowhere, right? The track will always be there until they really screw up so badly that it will be unrepairable, right? People that are running it today have no clue whatsoever. So when you go to other heritage railway lines, make sure that you get the trust, honesty, and respect. You want respect. You want them to give you respect. They have to give it to you first, right? You don't give it to them. You wait till they give it to you. Then the trust comes into the positivity. Then they have to be dead honest. The honesty part failed on the Norfolk Railway because they were dishonest with the papers and dishonest with themselves. So the respect they're supposed to earn is turned to disrespect. So the trust was lost because they lost the trust of the people. So when you're saying all of this is not a game. And when I tell you what can be achieved, what cannot be, it's all about go far. Goals, obstacles, focus, act it, and review it. One thing that can cover it all, right? When people do an action, right, they act it, they review it, and they come back. And then they work out what their act. Wait, just leave the Norfolk Railway alone and let it drop, right? Because they're just driving the trains like model railways at the moment. They're wasting coal, water, and money, right? A lot of you that probably paying a lot of more money at the moment don't realise there's stuff in there, but you can't fuel it. The more you fuel it, the trust, the honesty, and respect they did have, it's not going to work this time round. So please look at in the sky and realise we are watching without having to harm anyone. We're acknowledging that trust and honesty and respect comes in different ways. So thank you very much indeed.